Many are consumed and sometimes defined by it, but what if I told you your anxiety can be channeled for good? Joining us now via Zoom is NYU Professor and author of Good Anxiety, Dr. Wendy Suzuki. Welcome to the show, Dr. Wendy. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
You believe wholeheartedly that anxiety can actually be good for us. You got to break that down.
Absolutely. I say that everyday anxiety is good because evolutionarily, anxiety and that underlying physiological stress response, that response that makes your stomach feels like it has butterflies in it, increases your heart rate, increases your respiration, that evolved to protect us. It's actually critical for our survival. That's why it's good. And if you're thinking, well, that sounds great, but I'm not feeling protected by my anxiety right now, the answer is that no, we're not feeling protected by our anxiety because as a society, our anxiety levels have been turned up so much, the volume is so high, we've lost that protective element. So if we learn to turn down the volume, we get to that sweet spot of protection, and that opens us up to real gifts or superpowers that come from our own anxiety.
I like your analysis here that guess what? Anxiety due to stress, it's part of life. Whether you're a world-class athlete, whether you're getting ready to do something important, take a test, do an operation. I mean, being a little anxious is just the normal response. So tell us, Dr. Suzuki, why do you consider anxiety to be what you call a superpower?
Yeah, so I have described 6 different superpowers that come from our own anxiety. Let me give you one example, and that is the superpower of productivity. I must say this came from all of the people we interviewed for this book, and there were lawyers, CEOs that said, oh, you're doing a book on anxiety? I am the high-paid lawyer that I am today because of my anxiety. So this is the strategy of high-level CEOs, high-level entrepreneurs. They take their what-if list. What if for a lawyer? What if the other lawyer goes through this argument or that argument? What if the judge does this? And they simply change it into a to-do list. So the lawyer that I talked to that identified this first, she said, look, I am a much better lawyer because I take all of that worry and anxiety and I change it into a to-do list. And the best thing about it is that anxiety evolved to be acted upon. So you've all heard of fight or flight. You either fight or run away. So the act of creating a to-do list and actually checking things off, doing things to address each one of those what ifs helps resolve those feelings of anxiety, and it makes you more productive at the same time.
I like it. I see it. I mean, think of anxiety as just being well prepared, being thoughtful and focused
Yes.
On the task ahead.
Yes.
Interesting
Absolutely.
concept. All right. You have a second superpower that
Yes.
can turn bad anxiety good. So tell us about that.
So my second superpower is the superpower of empathy. And I realized that one of my best teaching superpowers actually came from my own anxiety. As a young student, a young girl, I was very shy. I was very awkward, a wallflower of a student, but I always wanted to ask that question in class. But of course, I was afraid. I was afraid of being wrong. And I remember that I have empathy for all of my students that have that. So I realized that as a teacher, now I'm at the front of the classroom, I always make time at the beginning and the end of class to answer all those questions one-on-one for students that don't want to raise their hands, have that anxiety. And I realized that was my anxiety superpower. But it's not just me. I invite everybody to think about that most common anxiety you have. You know what it feels like. You know what it looks like. Turn that to the outside and reach out, help somebody out with that same form of anxiety.
I wish you had been one of my professors.